What's up, guys? Welcome to VHP Engines. Alright, so today's topic is something I actually attempted to do before. Well, I didn't attempt, I did. I'll call it an attempt because I just rewatched that old video and it was kind of shitty. But that's also back in a time when I was still a little uncomfortable talking to you guys. And I approached it in the wrong way. You can't, nobody can tell you what's the best engine for you, because if you look at all the engines that you have to choose from, they're all really good. It really just comes down to what power you're trying to make, how you're trying to make it, and how much money you have to spend. Now, of course, being like budget king over here, I like to go the cheapest possible. So I will start off with saying a little bit out of order, because I'm going to try and keep this a little structured so I can make it thumb through the time thingies. Yeah, time thingies. Yeah, that's what it is. But just say off rip, if you're going to build an engine, like if you want to build an engine for turbo, your best bang for your buck is a single cam. People have taken the Vitara builds all the way up to 500 horsepower. It works. So yeah, that's probably your best bang for your buck if you want to spend money to go turbo. Now, this is something I get asked a lot. A lot of you guys ask me about 250 horsepower range for engine builds, and I did talk about that already. I talked about that in the how much horsepower stock. Maybe one of these fucking places the car's gonna pop up. If you want to get to 200 horsepower or 250 horsepower, 300 horsepower easy, the only way you can easily get to that number is to fucking boost. And if you can boost, why would you stop there? Unless you just happen to get a second-hand turbo that happens to be small. And even then, you can still push one of those small turbos on a B series at 300 horsepower. So every time you guys ask me 250 horsepower, 300 horsepower, smack yourself in the fucking head before you say it. Because it's just it's redundant already at this point, guys. I mean, I've already gave you the information. If you're gonna slap a turbo on a stock engine, that's fine. You can push it 350 horsepower. Nobody likes to deliberately strangle their power when they can make more, especially once you get used to it. You want to make more power. So for me, I don't even look at a 250 horsepower, 300 horsepower fucking build, because that's just it's a very simple answer. Stock B series engine, turbo kit, or supercharged, or nitrous, some kind of forced induction. So if you want a fucking 250 horsepower car, turbo kit. All right. Now, there's really only when I look at B series, I only look at B series in two ranges. Why? Because I don't like to do high compression forged builds. For me to buy forged fucking rods and pistons to put in a goddamn block that's gonna be NA, I'll kill myself. There's no way in fuck that I'm spending $800 for a 250 horsepower build. I'm not saying that's the fucking limit. I'm not saying that it's not possible to get higher, but I can't recall my time or myself seeing a 280 wheel horsepower in a high compression fucking B series. I'm not saying they don't exist. Hear me. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying it's not very common, and I haven't seen any. All right. If you want to go fucking NA and you want to make good power NA, good power, 200 plus, 250 plus horsepower, then you got to go either with a J swap, which I'll talk about tomorrow, or you go with a K series. Right now, as this is said, for budget friendly, so we're talking about shit that's going to be easiest to do. So that means for you H guys, it's not budget friendly unless you're doing an Accord Prelude. And if you do have an Accord Prelude and you're asking me what to do to make more power, if you don't already have an H22 in it, put an H22 in it. If you don't want, if you want to make power off what you already have, then you turbo your F series, and I covered that in the how much power stock, how much you can do there. All right, okay, so this is gonna be hard. I'm probably not gonna be able to timestamp this. You guys are just gonna have to suffer through it. But what the best engine build for you is most of the time is gonna be, if you're looking at that at a budget. If you're looking for it at a budget, then 9 out of 10 times your best bet is to build with whatever the fuck you already have in the car. If you already have a single cam in the car and you want to make power without having to do a B series swap, then you're gonna have to get boost. Now you can do a stock turbo setup and still make 210 horsepower safely with that stock single cam. I'd say that, and that's fine. You can get a small generic turbo kit, or you can get one second hand. Just make sure you keep the track on your fucking shaft plate on the turbo, and 210 horsepower all day, and that's pretty good. And you know, $300 for a turbo kit. You know, depending on what ECU you go with, you can do a Neptune or Chrome chip for, you know, like $80, and then like a $300 tune. That's still way less than swapping a B series, because you gotta buy a transmission, buy a fucking long block, get a fucking axles, shift linkage, all that shit. And if you really want to make any power out of that B series, you're gonna have to fucking retune and do bolt-ons. So if you're really looking for a good setup, you know, without having to do anything, without spending too much money, then go ahead and stock boosting your single cam is not a bad idea. You know, just be sure you do it in moderation. Don't take it past 210. All right. Now, if you do want a B swap, you know, the best B series swap to go to for budget and for power is the B20. And if you can, you get the B20 that's stamped PHK. You'll see it on the block, or all around the block. It'll have a PHK around it. The PHK is a bit higher in compression. It's like 9.6 to 1 compared to the 9.1 that the regular B20s or the older B20s are. That little bit of compression bump will net you like stock fucking 156 wheel horsepower. That's not bad, because you're looking at like 140 something foot-pounds torque, and that usually beats the B16. I didn't want to admit it for fucking years, you know, that the B20 beats the B16, but it does. If you're doing a dig, race or a low roll, then that B20 is gonna probably beat that B16, as long as it's in, you know, comparative weight in the cars. I've seen it happen a whole bunch of times. The car that got me into Hondas was a B20 swapped fucking hatchback. It was amazing. So if you want the best bang for your buck for a swap to a B series, then B20 is the way to go. Now, if you want to start making, if you got a Doc VTEC and you want to start making good power off of, then I would say get a GSR. Or get a B20 block and slap a GSR head on there. Now, you can get a B20 block, the low compression one, and still put a B16 head and do GSR cams and make decent power. But if you want to go B20V, you can do a B20V hopefully with the PHK pistons, and also get a GSR head to also bump compression, and then that would easily be a 200 plus wheel horsepower car. Not like maybe around like 210, 220 on pump gas. That's not bad. And same thing with the B18 LS VTEC. Well, if you're gonna get an LS VTEC, you can still, you know, make around 200 horsepower range. I think, or maybe 180, 190 wheel horsepower with bolt-ons and shit. These are not including like aftermarket cams. This would be GSR cams. But if you want to take it a step further and do like a mild engine rebuild, you can do a rebuild with OEM parts, and that's my favorite thing to do, because you can build a high compression Honda engine with Honda parts. It just won't be as high as if you'd buy like Wiseco's or some shit like that. But when you're talking about high compression on that side, you're looking at like fucking 13 or 14 to 1 compression, compared to, you can do like 11 or 12 with the right Type R piston, with the right B16 piston, the right block, and get like 11 something, and that will bump up compression. That kind of compression bump will bump you into the 200 horsepower range. So and it'll keep you on pump gas. You do that 13.5, 14.1 the compression, you're looking at minimum E85. So if you want to do a high revving fucking monster NA B series, then do a high compression B20V. And when I say high compression, I mean PHK pistons, and also a GSR head. Or you can do LSV and do fucking B16 pistons in the B18 block, which I'm going to be trying to finish building here soon. And also get a GSR head, and that should bump you around the 200 horsepower range. You know, and that I've seen a bunch of times. I have a friend down in Miami he's owned a dyno for years. him and his dyno buddy split, and now he's doing a lot of tuning himself. And I see him running baselines, doing slight builds, bolt-ons. And I've seen a whole bunch of different, LSVs and B20s and B20Vs run through there, making, around the 200 horsepower mark. And that's just from one shop watching the dyno, All right. Shit. Well, I guess that pretty much touches on all the B and the D's that I had for you. So I guess that you can, if you already, so the finishing message would be for today that the best build that you can possibly do on a budget, like this is budget friendly, then you would go with whatever you have. And if you got a single cam, you can boost it. If you got a B series, you can boost it. If you wanna do NA because you're like one of those guys who like the NA thing, then that's fine. There are different combinations you can flip flop around to get the good numbers out of. And because I don't want to try and break every single possible version down of the build, this one I will tell you guys you can hit me up with your ideas. You come up with your combinations of your own and come to me with what you have. Like, hey, this is the parts I have. What can I do? And I'll help guide you through that. But even though this is kind of scattered and rambly, I kind of gave you guys a good idea of what to look at. You can do OEM Frankensteins for your B series to guarantee the 200 horsepower breach, or you can boost them. Or if you got a D series, boost the D series. Do not do an NA D series build. You will be disappointed. I've never seen a D series make more than 176 horsepower NA, and that was fucking built to the dick. You will not squeeze any power out of it. It's just not worth it. You will spend a fuck ton of money and make no results. All right, guys, just boost it. If you want a fucking quick single cam that you don't want to have to tear into, just boost. Just do it. All right. Now, I was going to talk about the K series too, but that's kind of like beating a dead horse because I haven't played with the different combinations enough to know exactly what you can do for an OEM rebuild. Although, if you watch my K build series, you can see that I'm doing A2 pistons and A3 blocks. That way, the A3 block will now match the compression ratios of the A2, which will give it a much better chance of hitting the 200 wheel horsepower mark. And okay, so I guess I can talk about the K series. There's another channel I saw on there. It's called VTech Academy. They don't upload very often. It's an old white dude that works for Hassport, and he put a K24 A4 into a car, into a hatchback, did like one or two bolt-ons, and the car made 160 wheel horsepower after its second baseline or second pass. Now, if you guys know a little bit about the K series and you're like, well, 160 wheel horsepower, that's what it's rated for. But exactly, what a manufacturer with a dealer marks its horsepower rating is not what it actually makes to the wheel. They are measuring their horsepower rating based off what it does at the crank on an engine stand when they're doing their engine dynos. All right. It's kind of a way of cheating you out of your power. They're telling you how much power the engine makes, but they're not telling you how much power that engine makes in a car. They're not accounting for the power loss through the drivetrain and all that shit. So at the end of the day, you lose like 10 or 20%. I can't remember the exact number, but it's safe to assume that the car makes about 30 horsepower less than what the engine is supposed to. So if the K24A4 and the K20A3 are both rated at 160 horsepower, and they go down and put down 160 wheel horsepower on the dyno, that's really impressive. It's now, like I said, it's with a couple bolt-ons and tweaking with a tune. But the one or two bolt-ons, not even the full bolt-ons, one or two bolt-ons plus a little bit of a tune, and you're looking at matching that. A lot of people shit on those engines, but I think that's really impressive because that just goes to show that compression bump alone could probably put it at the 180, 190 wheel horsepower mark. All right, so we got a little K series discussion in here, but we're not going to go too in depth in that. That's not the first engine that everybody looks at as being budget friendly, and I wouldn't say it's too expensive nowadays. You just got to know what to buy and shit. But I'd say it would take a lot longer to piece together because it's a lot harder to find K-swap parts used. So even though it's more budget friendly nowadays, you still have to buy the majority of parts brand new, and it's going to take you a while to piece that together if you're working on a budget. All right. Okay, so the J series I did a lot of looking into today, and I found some things that that impressed me on there. But yeah, one thing I will say is if you're that fucking dude who was, came out and did exactly what I predicted in that video, somebody would tell me, "Oh, my friend has one of these." All right, fine. You were misunderstanding what I was saying, because a lot of you guys don't fucking listen to me properly. I don't know, maybe if I speak too fast, or if you're just too fast to run to the comments when you hear something you don't like. But I still stand by what I said for a safe long-term running J32. The J32's rods are a lot smaller than the J35's, all right? And off rip, the J35 makes a little bit more horsepower than the J32. And the J32 only makes good power based off which one you have. The A2 makes 260, flywheel horsepower, brake horsepower, whatever. But compared to the J35 A8, I think, that makes 280 plus. All right. So the one thing I'll say about that is the whole shit with the J series stock can handle 700 horsepower. That there was a shop that was doing those J series turbo builds, and the guy said it lasted for 20 passes. 20 passes at 700 horsepower before it blew up. And I'm pretty sure that's the Civic that you tagged me in, guy, if you're listening. All right. Now, the whole point of that video was talking about what it can possibly do at its upper limit stock, and what it can do long term, forever and ever. Running good is just the way it was made. All right. So 20 passes on a drag strip, that seems like a lot, but really it's not, because that's not normal driving in between those passes. You're talking about trailer, track drag strip, does a pass, you get 20 of those, and then the engine's done. All right. So, and then you hit me up with that whole shit with, your comment about the 800 horsepower K-Series is invalid then. I didn't say that a fucking stock K-Series can make 800 horsepower. I said the fucking stock sleeves can handle up to 8 horsepower. Not the fucking rotating assembly that's inside that block. I said 500 horsepower is that, you can make a couple of passes on that. Or this guy wasn't making a couple of passes. The guy I know personally was making passes out the ass for a very long time before it through the rod, and daily driving that car. So that's the difference of what I was talking about. Yeah, so I will say that. I will correct myself. The one thing I will say that you were right on about, 700 horsepower and a J, is that the sleeves can handle the high horsepower just like the fucking K-Series can. But other than that, a stock goddamn J-Series isn't making no 700 horsepower long-term and living. All right? So that's one little message I want to leave to you guys too. I understand maybe I do speak too fast for you or whatnot, but there's been a lot of times where even I've watched something and I'll go back and watch it again just to make sure I heard what I heard before I address the question. So that way I don't jump the gun and come at somebody and try to correct them when I don't really have the full information. Because that whole fucking thing that was going to turn into an argument was just because you weren't listening. It's just not listening. And I said that day I made that video, I said in the video that somebody's going to correct me and say, well, my friend did this, my friend did that. And that's, I know this is going to happen more as more people get exposed to the channel, but if you're going to be somebody who's going to subscribe and stick around and, watch this shit, I'm not saying I can't be corrected. There's been plenty of times I've been open to corrections, but just, before you come throwing some shit at me, just, please do a little bit more listening to what I'm saying to make sure that I'm even contradicting what the hell you think it is at the beginning with in the first place. All right, so anyway, this did stretch into 18 minutes. This is probably going to be like a 20-minute video here. So that's, I had to do my little rant at the end because this has been something that's starting to aggravate me. But I'm going to do J-Series tomorrow because I do think that warrants a little bit more attention, because I was impressed by what I saw. And I really, looking at it, the pricing between the K and the J is pretty goddamn close for swap capabilities and for availability of engine too. So is the J a more viable swap than the K series is? Find out tomorrow on VHB Engines. All right, guys, I'm gonna fucking wrap it up. If you got anything out of this video, had a good time with it or whatnot, please give me a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Small channel, all the likes and the activity in the channel helps make these videos more noticeable to people. if you're new and you haven't subscribed yet, you know, I have a lot of organized playlists on my channel. So if you go to my main page, look at all the playlists I have there. There's, you know, I'm pretty sure that I can answer a lot of your questions. So you might want to stick around and subscribe and see if you can get some more help out of this channel. Also, guys, what I want to say is keep asking me keep making your video requests. And if you have something that you want to hear that I haven't talked about, or, you know, drop a request. You know, I'm not the infinite, you know, brain here. Eventually I start to run out of fucking ideas to talk about. Recently, these past 2 weeks, I have been answering a lot of questions I've been getting asked. Now, they're not normally dropped in the comments or whatever, but it's just been people consistently asking personal DMs. So I figured if this many people need to know, then maybe a lot of other people want to know too. And plus, it saves me some time on answering the same question a lot. But if you do have something you would like to hear my opinion on, feel free to leave it in the comments below. If I don't get back to it, if I don't answer that, make a video on it right away. I haven't forgotten. What I've been doing is you guys that make a request. If it's something I feel like I can do, then I write it down along with the person who gave me the idea, and I'll give you a little shout out when I do make the video. All right. So yeah, that's it for that. Thanks for guys for watching. Peace.